Okay, we're live. Welcome to the user feedback team meeting. We have a few surveys in flight, and we've been working with the Node.js Foundation team, Tracy Lee, on how best to execute on that and make it repeatable. For a little bit of context, the Node.js Foundation runs annual surveys. When you see things like 10 million users, it's grown 100% year over year, yada yada yada. That's coming out of the Foundation survey. Then last year the user feedback initiative helped the benchmark team run a survey that was very specific to the needs of the benchmarking working group inside of the Node.js project. And with that, we were able to gather some feedback for the benchmarking working group to help them prioritize how they are what's most important for benchmarking in the year. And right now we have three surveys that have been requested to user feedback. First and foremost, we have one on promises, and this is helping the promises team. I think they are not a working group, but a team inside of the Node.js project, helping them get the context they need and the data that they need to to transform. Node was built 10 years ago almost, before promises were A+ and solidified and a part of the platform. Now they are a standard part of all JavaScript development, and so it's time to kind of level up and align with the rest of the open web. More recently, we kicked off a support channel inside of the user feedback group. Issue 96 covers challenges with upgrading, and through that we have there's someone else joining us. Hey, Alvin. So last but not least, we are looking at a couple other topics and prioritizing them. Giuseppe, do you want to go into some of the surveys that we're evaluating and share with us what you think as you're beginning to digest this, what you think the timeline might be, and ask for any input that you think we need to get this to completion?
Sure, I'll chime in. Sorry, the heater in here just kicked on and it's crazy loud, so hopefully that's not too bad.
Doesn't really come through.
Okay, great. So yeah, as Dan mentioned, promises is one that we're trying to move forward on. We met with Tracy Lee yesterday and discussed it. Greg Wallace used to assist in the execution from the foundation side. And since his departure, we're roping in Tracy Lee and her team to help us execute on it. It's best if the foundation kind of manages some of those aspects for a variety of reasons, but it also helps us to kind of move it forward as volunteers here. So my plan is to revive that thread. It's been a couple of months, I think, late July since there was a comment. I may start a new Google Doc and copy all the relevant things from that thread into a new Google Doc, ping the participants and ask them to contribute to help us wrap it up. I'm going to try to formalize sort of an initiative document so that we can use it as a template for other initiatives that we'd like to start, map out what the objective is, and what questions we want to ask and how we want to frame it. And yeah, so I'll get that moving along. I'll try to get that moving today. And then in addition, I'll also pretty much follow the same process for the migration survey. And my thinking with that one is we kick it off with a kind of time-boxed survey like we would conventionally do with any other survey initiatives. But we should evaluate moving forward what sort of open-ended survey we can, some open-ended way to collect migration feedback, upgrade feedback moving forward. But we'll get this initial survey kicked off and evaluate kind of going from there.
Awesome, and big thanks to Tracy Lee and her team for stepping in and really helping us out and providing the continuity for those of us who are volunteering and carving out some of our times, figuring out how we keep that connective tissue going while we're all taking care of the other things we need to take care of is definitely one of the big challenges of operating a open source project at the scale that Node.js has. So it's fantastic to have good partners like Tracy and her team.
Yeah, and I'll echo that sentiment as well. Excuse me, as well, and just add on that Tracy is interested in helping us formalize this process as well. So I expect kind of some documentation on her end to facilitate future initiatives from a volunteer perspective without too much difficulty. So that I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be huge. And she absolutely slays it. Taking that and boiling things down to a simple, repeatable process. It's amazing.
Agreed.
Cool. All right. Well, the good news and bad news. After that survey, if we look at our agenda for today, we have 3 other survey requests. So putting things into perspective for project members, in terms of how long it takes to get a survey set up and run through it. It does, for better or for worse, take a bit. As Joe mentioned, that it's been several months since we got the request for the promises survey. Benchmarking was actually the impetus for the creation of this, and it was several months there. So stronger typing is definitely farther out, and the individual membership survey, that too. It's going to be a moment before we are able to get to that. But hopefully with this process that we're collaborating with the foundation on, we'll be able to sort of kick that off, check off whether we have the gating challenge tends to be when we have to build the questions, right? Building and refining, a full list of surveys, questions, and making that make sense, is challenging. And then, my goodness, if you really want to refine that and make, kind of a year-over-year statistical valid survey, then that's kind of another level above that. So it's going to take us a moment to get to those. So let's check in on our other 2 major threads. This week is my first week full week. It's been 2 weeks now total, but first full weeks at PayPal. I know we're heading into a code freeze. So Ahmed, I don't know if you're able to join us. Love to have a bit of a discussion with you around the enterprise end users, and see how we can put something tangible, and I can take something tangible back to the rest of the team, as we're rolling out things on 10 and evaluating things there. It'd be this is a great time to put in place tests and identify individuals on our team and across the ecosystem to participate.
Yes, I would definitely be interested in joining and helping out with that.
Cool. Shall we? We've had at this point, a couple of back-to-back user feedback sessions. Joe's has gracefully stepped up to take care of the surveys. Do we want to line up an enterprise team meeting? Is it a good time? It's a terrible time to land any meeting over the next 2 months, but
yeah, I was going to say time is not really the question. It's just the opportunity of things happening. It's probably a good next step.
Right. So in terms of this meeting time, our next date would be right in the middle of the US Thanksgiving holiday. So that's going to be, I will not be available. So please feel free to take the Canadian contingent and run a session, Ahmed, but I will not be around.
Yeah, I don't expect I'll be here either.
Okay, I'll try to follow up offline and figure out what next steps might be.
Okay. The subsequent time would be the 7th of December. That's totally reasonable for me. And then an alternative, I know you landed the enterprise team on a Thursday last time. If you wanted to line things up on Thursday the 29th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, there's the community committee meeting at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So Thursday after ComCom basically would be good for me.
Yeah, that sounds like probably a best option there.
Okay, I'm going to drop a hold on the calendar just so we both remember what we're talking about.
Yeah, I generally have that time open as well, so I would join as well.
Excellent.
Awesome. So let me just double check. I was making terrible television. So NAPI, what the heck? They run a meeting on the half hour. I may have to get the ComCom account from Adam to run that, but I think we're at a point where we can run multiple meetings at the same time, and I'll just need to sort that out. If that time works out, I'll figure out the details how to do that. Great. Then, last but not least, we have our thread around the general user feedback flow, and the online meetup, and figuring out how to do that. I chose not to. I dumped two cries for help and to Tracy yesterday. One for user feedback and another for mentorship. I didn't feel comfortable asking for support yet on running the online meetup.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. Yeah. That's basically where that particular initiative stands for me. Once I can get some of the logistical support, I can consider taking that on. But until I get there, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can carve out the time to go and cat herd that. And we're like, as we mentioned, with just setting up the enterprise focus meeting, we're heading into the holidays, and landing that during that time period is tough. What I'd love to hear thoughts and feedback on general user. Anyone have any suggestions that they'd like to do to sort of carry that forward? I promise I won't immediately conscript you to do it.
I think given the holiday season, it's probably best to pause it until after, because you don't want to do something now and then have to pause anyways.
And I think last time Michael suggested that probably we should wait for February.
Okay. Yeah, February, it seems a reasonable timeline.
Yeah.
In general, if you really want to draw in attendance, 90 days is, if we want to do a major event and really, drive up attendance, 90 days of promotion is, kind of the, what I like to do. Anything as you approach 30 days, you're scrambling and you're kind of, really pushing hard to amplify it. So that's something to consider with that. If we're going to land an event in February, that means we've got basically to have everything done by January 1. If we want to promote that, so that's my only concern about February. Yeah, I'm cool with February, but if we're going to land that, we actually need to carve out meaningful time to make that happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, probably we can target as by the end of February and probably sleeping on March. That's the hope. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that'd be realistic.
So because right now you fix it at December 7th, right? So we have December 7th. That means the next day for our user feedback meeting, that means 21st of December.
My son's birthday. Yay.
Yeah. So that we'll have probably only 2 meetings this year. That's the whole point. So.
Yep. December 7th. I'm starting to be able to sort of lift my head up and get a sense of what my time looks like. Let's see. We'll see. I'll create an agenda item for the 7th to at least kick off and explore what the topics are that are going to engage folks most and drive their feedback, right? Something about debugging, probably diagnostics.
Yeah, you may want to probably to open a separate issue for this.
Right.
A different,
Yep.
yeah, that should be to track this.
Yep. Yeah, I'll take an action item to create an issue for that and dive into that. Giuseppe, have you been tracking the upgrading issues thread, issue number 96?
Has there been anything recent?
It's been 4 days.
I haven't been tracking it closely, no. Looking now.
The thread's gotten a reasonable amount of action. It didn't blow up, but definitely have some folks commenting and sharing.
Yeah. I was curious if it was kind of getting off topic, per se, but I'm not too worried about that. We can, either I can create a new issue that tracks specifically, an upgrading survey, or I can jump back into here and try to get it back on the original.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just pop in here and get it back on track for at least, in terms of the questions. I'll create a Google Doc. That's one other question I had. I don't know how much we are able to make use of the Linux Foundation's Node. I don't even know to what extent this is set up, but there seems to be some sort of team drive at the very least for the merge conversations. I wonder if we should have one set up for user feedback and be able to drop documents in there that are pertaining to survey initiatives.
Sure. Is that something that the foundation team set up, or is that something that Miles set up? Doing a Google thing.
I see Chris Borchers as the creator of some of these files.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned it to Tracy Lee, and she didn't know what I was talking about. So,
she's been out recently. She just got married, came back from honeymoon.
Yeah. So I don't blame her at all. But just to say that I don't think she is on top of this sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should reach out to someone over there and see if this is something we should do.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to set that up. But I'd also like to set it up in a way that is long-term sustainable. And I don't know what the I honestly haven't used Team Drive, so I don't know what the handoff is, right? If there's an easy way to say, like there is in a doc that, okay, I created this space, but I'm gonna, share ownership with other individuals, or like docs, if ownership is a single point of authority. But that seems like a very sensible thing. Would you mind creating an issue for it just so we can track it?
Yeah, why should I create an issue?
Just in the GitHub issue and user feedback.
Okay.
Create a team drive for surveys and collaboration.
Okay, we'll do.
And then that probably needs to be accessible only to team members. I don't know that we would want to, that affords us a mechanism for sharing some things with some, slightly sensitive data in it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Okay.
We have the old data from the benchmarking, right?
Right. To put somewhere, more, organized. No, that's a good point.
A question for Joe. So, Joe, did you have time to look into that old benchmarking survey we have?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, I'll send. Well, it's quite simple. Just go under user feedback and. But I'll send you the link.
Okay.
That'd be great. Yeah, I was looking for a copy of the SurveyMonkey content.
What we have the results, and we have a PDF over there. And I remember Greg, right? Greg Wallace was he made the check-ins for these files.
Right.
Right, Dan. I think you help Greg with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Greg's no longer with the Node.js Foundation. He's still around.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Right. So Greg's no longer an employee of the Linux Foundation. He does want to sort of continue to stay involved in Node. But he's been sort of in transition. So I haven't pushed too hard since he's taking care of his needs. Perfect. Right on. Thanks, Mihai.
Yep, and I see it in the repo. I'm looking at it now.
So that should give you a little bit more perspective on some of those questions. The general feedback, from the Node.js Foundation team on surveys is trying to get explicit responses is better than general responses. That's generally the being able to stack the responses up and infer meaning from it is kind of how the magic of surveys work. And for us, threading the balance between allowing some open-ended discussion and getting the specific data points is kind of our challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. So is that something we were gonna review on the 7th, or do you think we're gonna be able to try to get one of those off the ground for that? Should I put anything on us for the 7th?
That's a good question. So that's in a month, right? Because I think we're in our conversation with Tracy, we were going to lock down, try to lock it down in 2 weeks, and then move forward. I guess 2 weeks would be right around Thanksgiving. So maybe we should lock it down right after Thanksgiving. And then, I guess start executing the survey, or do we want to, discuss it before we kind of move forward with it as a group?
I think we can, what I'll do is I'll just leave, that item on the agenda, and we can track it that way, and see where we get to. Okay. And go from there.
Okay. Do we have, tell me if you think this is a good idea, but we have a public community committee channel in the Node.js Slack.
Right.
Should we create a user feedback one in case we want to just offline asynchronously check in with each other on these sorts of conversations? Or
let me double check. I think I might have created it, but it may be like NUF. I was trying to make Node end user an acronym out of Node end user feedback, and it was too much.
Yeah.
Trying too hard. So let me see if they're user feedback. So there is the channel. It is completely silent.
Okay.
That's what's going on. It's not completely silent. It just hasn't been updated in a long time, and we are on the free plan. So the history has been scrubbed.
Okay, make a little bit marketing and it will be
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, drawing folks into the discussions around, the promises survey, that might be a good thing to drop in there. Give folks feedback on that, just to test whether, kind of user engagement and use of our time is well spent there, I guess.
Yeah.
High level.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool.
I do have a question for Ahmad. So Ahmad, did you talk with Zibi, or did you guys put are you sync with that list? Remember 2 weeks ago where you're asking about a list, a distribution list. So do you guys are sync together with Zibi? Ahmad?
You're on mute, Ahmad.
Okay. I think
Maybe he's distracted.
that's fine. Dan, do you have
Sorry,
any...
I just figured it out. I was just having microphone problems.
Oh, good.
So, Ahmad, once again, are you in sync with Zipi regarding the distribution list with the enterprise issue?
Well, I think it's definitely an opportunity there. My point before was any questions we ask to folks in the enterprise to help us should be coming with some actionable tasks for them beyond just asking questions. And like just to give an example on that is, are we able to give them something to run within their own infrastructure to provide us with data other than opinions?
We had a discussion yesterday with Tracy about the mentorship working group and setting up lists for that. And we actually netted out that we were going to just go and create them on Google Groups. Manage it that way. That was the sort of most straightforward way for us to do that. And we didn't need to be gated by anybody. It's not necessarily foundation specific. And if we're creating open channels of communication, then it's in line with the expectations of the project.
Does that allow us to share potentially confidential information or something that can be perceived as a confidential information?
Good point. You may need multiple, but it's confusing, but it is possible to do that with Google Groups. I don't know how much we can, provide guarantees that it'll always be private, kind of a thing. Like, would it pass the enterprise sniff test? Probably not. Yeah.
I mean, I might be overthinking it, but just again, in the context of if you're asking for specific information about, let's say, the usage of promises in your code bases, Mr. or Mrs. Enterprise representative, are they going to feel comfortable sharing that information knowing that it's not going to be shared publicly with a pointer to them.
Right. I mean, but like once you put that down in an email, like that risk kind of exists, right? Yeah. I'm not, I think we should get feedback on, what level of privacy folks want. Of course, you could be the point of contact on that and just, route it through, that level.
Yeah, I don't think we have to over engineer it to start. Like we can definitely start with a simple approach and see what feedback comes out of that.
Yeah. The upshot that I'm kind of dancing around is getting a email list on the Node.js.org domain is kind of non-trivial. So maybe we build up to that. Especially once we have an established strong contingent.
Agreed.
Right. We still, don't 100% know. Like, but if we can say, there's TELUS, there's PayPal, there's MasterCard, and Intel are collaborating there. I would expect the foundation to be like, okay.
Yeah, providing proof is always useful.
Right. Great. Well, that brings me to the end of the agenda. I need to dash downtown to the Spiffy Community Day anyway, so it's probably a good time for me. Any closing thoughts that anyone has?
Nope.
Awesome.
No, not really. So I think
cool. Great. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. And thanks everybody for joining us this morning and participating in user feedback.
Yep. Thanks everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye.